Jefferson Barracks is a former U.S. Army post and cemetery that now also serves as a memorial to American military veterans. Joining us today is St. Louis County Parks historian Daniel Gonzales to help us learn more about the historic site and an upcoming event. Welcome to the show, Daniel.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Who knew that St. Louis County Parks had a historian? Who knew?
I don't know. It's a new job to me, so I've just taken over in the last few weeks. But I've been with the park system for a couple of years now at Jefferson Barracks Historic Site.
So yeah, I love that. So what do you do there exactly? Tell me more.
Well, so until recently, I was the curator at Jefferson Barracks Museums. We've got 2 galleries that are open every Wednesday through Sunday, noon to 4. So we have a Powder Magazine Museum, which houses our core collection. This is an exhibit that tells the history of Jefferson Barracks from its establishment in 1826 through its closure as an active Army post in 1946. Additionally, we've got a second gallery we call our Ordnance Room, and this gallery is rotating. So each year, you've got a new exhibition, a new topic, and what we've been doing for the last few years is taking a story from the larger narrative of Jefferson Barracks and going into more depth.
So like a micro view of this story.
Yeah.
So that leads us to this new exhibition that you have.
Yeah, so the new exhibit is called The Cavalry at Jefferson Barracks, The Courageous and Faithful. And we're looking at the story of the United States Cavalry, particularly its presence here in St. Louis. And that is no small story. Although we're taking this microcosm look, we're really looking at a massive story that has an impact for St. Louis, but for the country as a whole as well.
So what year are you going to take us to?
Yeah, so we start in 1833, which actually is the beginning of the cavalry as a branch of the United States military. The first unit was called the United States Dragoons, which is... Dragoons, yeah. It's a name for French light cavalry, but it was a name that the United States adopted because we were looking to other countries to influence us, to kind of give us some guidance on how to set up.
We didn't know.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
French frontier.
Yeah.
How many people? How many cavalrymen were a part of this?
That's a good question, because they had a ton to do, right? They were looking at protecting the entire frontier, but they were actually only 500 men to begin with, operating across over a 1,000-mile border with a territory that inhabited hundreds of thousands of Native Americans. And just the men,
no families, no women and children?
There were some families at Jefferson Barracks, but at this point, no families on the frontier. These folks were operating really on the edge of U.S. civilization. It was a pretty tough, pretty dangerous job that they were.
What's the subtitle? You said courageous and...
Courageous and faithful. And that goes to the the Dragoons, rather. That was their slogan.
I love that. I love that. And you tell me why we should be excited about this. I mean, obviously it's really exciting. It's history. It's our history. But you had some really cool points you could pull out about why we should be excited.
I think there's some really cool things to talk about here.
Because you're a historian.
Yeah. I'm a little biased, but... Yeah, so especially if you're a St. Louisan, this is really cool. So the Dragoons were the first unit. They were actually started at Jefferson Barracks in 1833. From that point on, you see the organization of these cavalry regiments really orients itself around Jefferson Barracks. The first 5 are all organized here between 1833 and 1855. We did. And I think you'll recognize some of the names of the officers who were leading these units. Guys like Robert E. Lee.
Oh, yeah. I do recognize his name.
You've heard of a guy by the name of Nathan Boone. He was the son of Daniel Boone.
Wow, okay,
so these are big names in U.S. history.
Okay, I love that.
So we've got all of these larger-than-life characters that are part of these units.
Okay.
But it's really interesting, as we get into the story of these folks who are serving at Jefferson Barracks, the real contribution, the real people who are allowing the establishment or the push westward by white settlers, they're not the famous names. They're people who history has forgotten who they are. And
you're going to have to tell me more about who they are. That's a good cliffhanger. You're doing excellent. You're doing a great job. So there's more to learn about this upcoming exhibit, or the exhibit that's going on now, and a new event, too. So Daniel's going to stay with us, so make sure you stay with us as well. We'll be right back here on STL Live.